Hi everyone, welcome to Room Banter. This is the sports podcast from the Recommentary platform. So, very welcoming you all to this first episode of sports podcast. This podcast is special because we have a new face, apart from the old faces we've been seeing in our other podcasts. Welcome Aravind. He's one of my closest friends. He's somebody who's been following sports thoroughly for quite some time, and he's somebody with a lot of great opinions. Love to hear him in this podcast. Aravind, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks for the introduction, Gautam. I'm Aravind Viswanath. I work at All India Football Federation as the legal manager. But apart from that, I've been following sports for close to 25 years now. I've been following football, cricket, and tennis. And I can't say I know much about basketball or anything, but I follow the developments also. So it's great to be part of this podcast and look forward to sharing my views and hearing your views also on everything that's sports related. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Adi, you want to introduce yourself for audience?
Hi, I am Adi. I've been the host for this podcast for a while, but this is the this is the off the line edition, which we usually refer with football, but it's more of a sport podcast. So Gautam will be taking the lead on this. I Just a brief intro for me. I've been working in the development sector, and I'm also like a sports enthusiast. I wouldn't say I'm very good at like all the sports knowledge, but I'll be acting more as a learner today than a contributor, to be specific. So yeah, look forward to it.
Thanks, man. So when I thought about this podcast, I was just trying to go back into my memories and see where it all started. Where did all the love for cricket started? And then I realized that one person that has influenced me in following the sport has been Sachin Tendulkar. It all started, around the time when he came up on the scene. So actually, the satellite television came in, and we started seeing all these live broadcasts from even from different countries, not just India. And then these matches in Sharjah used to be a thing in the late 90s, 91, 96, 97, 90. Around that period, we used to have these multilateral tournaments in Sharjah. And one such tournament was this, can't remember the cup name exactly. Is it Wills Cup? Correct me if I'm wrong. We had Australia and I think one more team, Zimbabwe also playing. And Sachin played this amazing knock, either in 96 or 97 exactly, I'm not sure. It's called a Desert Storm knock, back-to-back centuries, and one in the qualification game, one of the group games, and the other in the finals when he eventually made India the winner. And I thought it was brilliant because until then you hadn't seen one man standing up against the might of Australians. Of course, Sachin was already a sensation then, but that was lasting. That was one memory that remained in me, and I was like, okay, this sports is super fun. There is something about this that keeps your adrenaline going. Rooting for somebody whom you have probably never met before, but that feeling of being rooting for someone, rooting for your country, rooting for a bunch of people was amazing. And that was my first memory. You guys want to share something similar? What was your initial moment, induction into the game?
Yeah, for me, so early 90s, when I was a small kid in school and everything, I had Doordarshan. I didn't have the luxury of watching matches that were broadcast in foreign countries. So I used to watch all the India matches, and I remember it was used to be a thing where people used to take leaves from office and flock outside TV showrooms and then watch the whole match, even where it was like a group social uh, occurrence, like watching every Indian cricket match. And at that time, also there was one phase like this was after the Desert Storm. Of course, the 1983 World Cup happened, and then the 1985 win in Australia also. But post that, we didn't really make it to a lot of
Mm,
blockbuster finals,
mm,
so to speak. So when the match fixing scandal hit the Indian cricket, it was maligned for a long time. The people lost faith in the leadership and everything. Former captain was implicated, and then of course, Sachin being there, he was the backbone of the team, and there was a time when, the moment he gets out, people used to switch off the TVs and go back to their work. But it was Saurav Ganguly, in my opinion, who also happens to be my favorite cricketer, Indian cricketer for sure, who basically took the mantle of leading the team and say, we actually have a lot of youth that can be developed from the system and everything. And then started the Dada era, from where Virender Sehwag, Harbhajan Singh, Yuvraj Singh, Zahir Khan, MS Dhoni, all of these people emerged from the ranks, and that is how India kind of became the India that we see right now. Even, he won the Champions Trophy as captain in Sri Lanka. Then joint winners, India were joint winners with Sri Lanka because the match was rain affected. And then we won the famous NatWest series when he takes off
Yeah,
the his t-shirt and flings it off, as in, he turns it around in the Lord's balcony. And
yeah,
then we obviously reached the finals of the World Cup, and we all know what happened in the final, in that fateful final when we lost by 125 runs. And that again set the tone for, future wins and everything. And till when Dhoni became captain, uh,
mm,
2007, he became the captain of the T20I team that won the World Cup in South Africa. And then eventually it culminated in a series of events that led to us being world champions in 2011, which was incidentally Sachin's sixth World Cup and only World Cup also. And from that squad, only Virat Kohli and Ravichandran Ashwin are part of the, that squad that are still part of the Indian World Cup squad. So those are the memories. In a nutshell, that's my take. Rudresh, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah. First of all, like that was a very detailed view, Arvind, because I think you started from the order of like 2003 and everything. Um, so yeah, it's pretty cool. For me, I feel as Gautam was also saying, 1997, 2003, all these things probably are like I was very young at that time, so I don't remember. My memory of cricket actually starts more from like a gaming perspective. I used to play this game called Cricket '07, and it used
esports.
to EA Sports, EA
Yeah.
Sports. So
Yeah,
that's a game I really liked because just like in life, you will take it to a difficulty level where after that it's just impossible to play it. So I used to have a lot of fun playing that. Ashes was something that I was introduced to at that point because it used to have like a storyline format. There have been these matches that have been played before, and you get to complete the story by being either side. So that's something which really got me interested because they used to have like matches where a team like England is really in a bad position, and then someone comes and takes like 7 wickets, and I'm like, wow, this is great. Um, that got me going into like just watching cricket, and so for me, cricket always resonated with the test match format. I used to love watching test matches because it used to be a very a fun vibe to see that laid back uh, competition, but also it's very fierce as you move towards the later days. Like maybe if the match goes like fourth, fifth days, a good example would be like the recent Ashes series. I really like this Ashes series. Like it was one of the good ones where like the competition was great. It was well balanced. Um, yeah, so that's where I think most of my memories come from initially. Then 2007, for me, like if I have to say one cricketer out of all the cricketers that I've seen, I would say Dhoni because I've starting from 2007, I've been a fan because the way he would be using that helicopter shot and the ending of the 2011 World Cup, all those things are really well imprinted. Um, in 2007, when the first T20 World Cup was won by India, I remember that last ball, or I don't know, it wasn't the last ball, but I remember that part where the ball was in air and
mm,
Misbah Ullah had put it in the air, and man, I really thought that it's gone. It's a
gone. Yeah,
sixer. But when Srishant catched it, I was like, this has changed everything. And because it was India-Pakistan match, all the political tension and everything, I feel that was a great point for IPL also to take place because people realize that if so many distribution rights can be if so many people are watching, then the value of distribution rights increases, and uh, it becomes a thing where everyone can watch the sport now and make money out of it also. At the same time, now I think, I don't know if at that point people were thinking of something like Dream 11, but now I see everyone is making their own teams and everything, which is, I think, in a way good. I would like to hear more about that. But yeah, that's what my memory is mostly.
Yeah, I mean, we've as an Indian cricket fans, I think we've all evolved along with the cricket. If I evaluate myself back in my childhood, I used to be like this innocent watcher of cricket where I didn't know the nuances of it. I didn't know why do you have a white ball for ODI cricket? Why do you have red ball for Test match cricket? I didn't know any of that. I didn't know like what do you mean by outside edge? What by inside edge? So all those nuances start slowly comes to you as you age. You start noticing things, you start understanding that better, and I think it that knowledge makes the having that knowledge and appreciating the game makes it even more worthwhile. Right, and yeah, I think this is a great occasion to discuss about this, because this is a seminal moment in this tournament where we've had India going through a fantastic run, unbeaten. And I think we were discussing before the show, the only instance of such kind of a run, and now that we've even crossed semi-final, it's an unprecedented run, because in 2015, like Aravind was saying, it was only till semi-finals and we lost in semi-finals. It was such a heartbreak. And it's been, and if you look back to our history, it's
Australia have had
Australia.
a run like that previously. I think in the
Previously, yeah.
2003 World Cup, and also I think 2007
Seven.
World Cup,
Yeah.
they've had 11 consecutive victories. So India, if it wins tomorrow, I think will match that.
But they had an unbelievable team in the 3-7 era, right? Like a lot of match winners. I was just
Ricky
hearing this.
Ponting era, right? Ricky Ponting era.
Ricky Ponting,
Yeah, he was
Steve,
the captain in both 2003 and 2007. Yeah, and I think he was definitely a part of the 99 lineup also. He's one of the few
yeah, it
cricketers who
was
has won 3 World Cups.
World Cups, yeah. I was just looking at the stat for this podcaster called Jared Kimber, and he has his podcast. And in one of his podcasts, what he says is, if you look at the batting averages and bowling averages, Australia was somewhere around 80 runs or 70 runs during that period for a given match for the World Cup matches. So that was crazy, right? Like to have a team's average batting average to be like around 70, 80, and bowling average also on similar crazy lines. So you know how good they were, and to be comparing our team to that, I think it's a great compliment, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's start with an analysis of, what has been going
Yeah.
on in this World Cup now that we have reached, I think, out of 48 matches, we've gone through 47 matches and there's one more to go. I think it's only fair to say that we could probably analyze what has been happening in this tournament.
Yeah. And first step, I want to say that I really like this format, round robin format, where every team gets to play each other, because I think that evens the playing field. It gives teams to come back. It gives the team, it gives the space and time to people to rediscover their forms, adjust to the surroundings, adjust to the conditions and stuff, and then maybe reinvent their game. And some of the teams have done it, right. Like Australia has been an example. Australia has lost the first couple of games, and then they've come back strongly, right. So what is your take on like what has been your favorite memories, Arvind? Like what has captured your attention? If you can like pick up some of the players from your favorite teams, some of them perform really well. Who would that be?
I would reserve my compliments for Virat Kohli towards the last. I think maybe I think I should start by paying a lot of compliments to Afghanistan as a team
Hmm.
for
Yeah,
the way they have progressed, because they come from such a, not such a politically suitable climate.
yeah,
They come and
yeah.
train, I think, in Dharamshala also.
Dharamshala.
They shift bases all the time. They don't really get according to the ICC FTP, the fixtures and tours
Mm.
program, they don't really get a lot of exposure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
uh, no one travels to their country, obviously. Whatever is given to them, they just take it. And so for
Mm.
them to have come to like the biggest event in cricket, and
Yeah,
then to show that they can, they beat Sri Lanka, they beat Pakistan, they almost beat Australia, but for that Maxwell knock. And somehow, I think their first match they lost to Bangladesh, which kind of you know, hurt them really badly towards the end. Maybe because
Yeah.
on form they were touted to beat Bangladesh, but that didn't happen. But maybe it was the jitters of the first World Cup match. But from
Mm.
there, they grew in strength and they beat Netherlands, and like I mentioned, they beat Pakistan, Sri Lanka, England. Yeah, I happened to
Mm.
watch that match live also. They defeated the
Oh,
defending champions in Delhi fair and square, and
how
even they
difficult
registered.
was how difficult was it to get the tickets, man? To get.
Uh, it's not really, it was not really that difficult. First of all, it
Oh,
was
okay.
not an India match, so it is
Okay.
easy. You can always go to the website and get tickets, and tickets will be available. But it was great to see that people had come out in large numbers to support Afghanistan, and there are IPL uh, people, legends we could say, but Rashid Khan is a very
Gotcha.
known face in Indian cricket and world cricket, so people were supporting him in large numbers. And yeah, so the fact that minnows were playing against the world champions, and everyone was supporting Afghanistan, so it was good to see, and they rose
Yeah.
to the occasion. And even it was notable to mention that they registered a very sizable total against India also, batting first. they
Yeah.
they made
280
270 odd.
something. Ah, yeah. Yeah.
So Afghanistan for me, the highlight of the tournament with respect to teams. Even Netherlands for
Mm.
that matter, they defeated South Africa.
Mm.
uh, So South Africa in the whole tournament, I think until the semi-final had only lost to India, and the other loss came against Netherlands. So the two matches they had lost were against India and Netherlands, and yeah, of course, the semi-final loss against Australia. So Netherlands also, considering that cricket, ICC wants cricket to grow in all parts of the world, and Europe is a good market,
Mm.
and it's also they've been in the fray for a long time. I remember they were there in 2002 also. India had
Yeah.
played our the first match against Netherlands also in that World Cup. So 2003 World Cup, sorry. So other than that, with respect to teams, I just wanted to mention those two. Of course, the
Mm.
obvious names are there, but with respect to players, I would say Rachin Ravindra has been the highlight for this tournament. The way
Yeah.
he was not really a known name or like a familiar face with respect to international cricket. He has just been growing. Of course, he has played Test cricket against India in India and
Mm.
everything. And but the thing is, the role that had been slotted for him in the New Zealand Kiwi setup was always like an all rounder.
He
A
was playing in fifth position,
bowler,
sixth position earlier,
a
right?
bowler who can bat. He was
Yeah.
touted to be that, but then as the tournament, as I think in quick time he adapted to the conditions and everything, and then suddenly when Kane Williamson was out injured,
Mm.
they slotted him in at number three, and he just, I don't know, just took off. He to score close to 600 runs. I don't know the
Mm.
exact number, but score close to 600 runs when the previous record of most runs in an edition was 673, which was held by Tendulkar.
Yeah.
Now it is Kohli, obviously, but to do that with just no real experience behind him in a
Yeah.
in the biggest of stages, that takes a lot
Yeah.
of character. So Rachin Ravindra
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, since you were talking about Afghan, so I was just trying to recollect a few names. You mentioned Rashid Khan, of course, but two other names that I really like, and I think these are amazing talents, and they've been consistent performers for Afghanistan. One is Azmatullah Omarzai, who's an all-rounder. Who, I mean, I think the thing with him is he can bowl the new ball. He can bring the ball away from the batsman. Natural outswing bowler. He bats up top. Either I think he bats around 4 or 5 and gives that stability, gives that big hitting. Also, he's played some long innings. I believe he had scored a century also. And to have that, right, to have that kind of a combination where is a player who can bowl with a new ball and give you that explosive option in the middle. I think that's a great asset. I think he's in that same league, or not yet, but he could be in the same league of Ben Stokes and Hardik Pandya and all those people. A great find for Afghan if they can maintain, if they can send him to some really good county stints and have more exposure to be given to him. I think it'll be a great asset for them. And I think one more player in Afghanistan is Ibrahim Zardan. So he's been a rock solid person who's like an anchor kind of a guy who knows who'll stay till the 50th over, who'll make sure that there is one end is locked up and keep the scoreboard tickling. That I think that is these two players have been, for me, apart from Rashid Khan, has been the most impactful ones. And what I feel that could have gone better for them is their other bowling, other spinning options. I think Noor Ahmed and who was the other one more spinner?
Mujib.
Mujib, yeah. I think they did not perform up to the mark. I remember during that Australia game, they were giving away a lot of runs from when you were bowling to Maxwell and stuff, which could have played a part. I guess. What do you think?
Consistently, maybe throughout the tournament, they performed, but in crunch moments, they
Mhm.
withered away, which is definitely a takeaway that would be they will be taking away from a takeaway for them at the back end of
Yeah,
this tournament. But
yeah,
these
and
people are, they have international exposure. They play IPL and everything. In fact, Noor Ahmad is in the same team as
mm,
Rashid Khan. Mujib is also in an IPL team. So these are not really situations they are not used to.
yeah,
They are used to these situations. They are familiar with these. But the thing is, also I would just give them leeway because Glenn Maxwell, I think he would have
yeah.
blasted anyone that day.
I mean, for me, that was a knock of the tournament. To be batting with an injury like that, and then making sure that, and that was such a high score, all scoring it all by yourself. I mean, to do credit to Pat Cummins for holding up one end, but to be taking on the mantle and finishing that game all by himself with an injured leg. I think that takes a lot of courage, a lot of self-belief, and he has done in the past. But this was a different situation altogether. And this also remember this is also a crunch game. Had Australia lost it, you would never know. Like Afghanistan must have gained that confidence and gone into South Africa must completely different mindset. And Australia, you never know, like would have been struggling to keep their pace. And this semi-final would have been looking completely different if that match would have gone either way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
No,
And coming,
could have,
yeah,
yeah. No, I was saying there could have been a situation where India would have probably faced Afghanistan in the semis.
yeah, right, right, yeah, and we've seen some strange things happening. You never know, right? Like with that kind of a force behind them, they could have been like something else. And yeah, we've seen examples of I think Kenya 2003, if I'm not wrong, Kenya getting into semifinals.
Yes, yes.
So Saurav Ganguly hitting a century, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, we faced them in the
with
semis,
them,
and yeah, Steve Ticolo and
Steve Ticolo, yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, coming to Netherlands, Netherlands, I can recall performances Logan Van Beek and Van de Merwe, the whole South African player now playing for Netherlands. Scott Edwards being the mainstay in the middle order. I think there have been some performances here and there. I think, but what I felt is that they did not have like a solid opening pair. I think that was one of their letdowns. And bowling wise, they were fine, but as a spinning unit, they couldn't strike enough. They didn't have like a main spinner who could like take wickets. That I think was their major shortfall. Of course, they're compared to other teams, they're quite new into this, so they will take some time for to develop. Hopefully, they get more chances and they can become proper semi-final challenger in the future. Yeah,
they had one legit spinner who was Aryan Dutt, but
Arvind.
he was yeah. The thing is, compared to like even Afghanistan spinners, there's
Hmm.
not a lot of experience that he can
Yeah.
rely on. So yeah, of course, it's a good learning curve for all these so-called minnow teams. But I don't know. We definitely won't be able to call Afghanistan as minnows from after this. That's after this tournament, we won't be able to call them minnows for sure.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about minnows, we have some new. Looking at the table, we'll find some new minnows being created, which is one being Bangladesh and the other being Sri Lanka. Came up with a lot of hope, and like Bangladesh is ever hopeful of, this could be their breakout World Cup. This could be a breakout tournament, and Sri Lanka with a lot of youthful energy. I mean, their team is very young, and they had some really talented players. What do you think? What do you think of their performance this time? Like, what has gone wrong?
Sri Lanka, the last big tournament they played before the World Cup was the Asia Cup final, where they beat, uh, where they faced India, and we kind of dominated them. They batted first and were all out for almost 50 runs. Mohammad
Hmm.
Siraj just ran through the lineup and everything. And I think they were severely underconfident coming into the tournament because it was considering the fact that this was also being held in India, the event.
Mm.
So I think it is a team that has a lot of talent and everything, but there's no cohesive middle order or not a lot of experienced faces to hold the team together. Like say if you take the fact as in if you just think about Sri Lanka, starting
Mm.
from 1996 where they won the tournament beating Australia. Again in 1999 they were uh, semi-finalists. In 2003 again I think they were semi-finalists if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
2007 they reached the final.
Yeah.
2011 they lost to India in the final. 2015 and 19 they didn't make it to the semis, and so since the Kumar Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardene
What was the man? Yeah.
era, they've kind of deteriorated in terms of their quality and everything. There's some major
Yeah.
issues that they're facing with the cricket board also, as in
Cricket
recently
board.
the Lankan board has been banned by ICC just after the
Mm.
tournament. So they have a lot of work to do. They have their task cut out in terms of qualification for and everything. First of all, they have to salvage, restore the board back to its old condition and everything with respect to the legitimacy from ICC. But yeah, Sri Lanka, but one player that I would need to highlight, as in just because in terms of bowling, is Dilshan Madhushanka.
Mm.
So in such a team, for him to be an opening bowler and to price out close to like I think 21 wickets, and in
Mm.
not too seamer friendly conditions, that needs to be applauded, that effort.
And I remember the bowl that took Rohit Sharma's wicket, and I think he was one of the few bowlers who've got him cheaply. So all credit to him. I also want to bring upon this performance of Sadira Samaravira. He has been a consistent performer in the middle, somewhat playing some back-to-back crucial knocks. Of course, he didn't have enough support from the either from the top or from the lower middle order. And like you said, right after Mahila's and Sangakkara's departure, they have not found people who could at least play that anchor role, that stay till the end, make sure that the match doesn't slip away. Angelo Matthews could have been that person, but somewhere his career got off track, maybe due to fitness, due to other problems. Although he was brought back in the end, I mean, it was too late, and I didn't think he had enough match practice to get that going. Also, I felt like the captaincy was also an issue. I didn't feel like Patum Nisanka was, sorry, not Patum, Kusal Mendes. Kusal Mendes was not up for it because I felt like he's somebody who plays with a free mind. He's not maybe he feels better off not having the burden of captaincy because he's kind of a player who plays with a lot of freedom, a lot of intent, and his game also suffered. I think in the initial 3-4 matches where he was not the captain, he had some good scores coming in, and when he got made the captain, his performance took a hit. So some strategic error there also.
Uh,
Yeah. So yeah, now that we've covered the favorite memories and the teams that were underperforming, we just want to come to semi-finalists and then we'll move to finalists. Semi-finalists, obvious choices: New Zealand and South Africa. What do you make of their performances? South Africa has been a team that just been the team to beat in the initial times, and so has been New Zealand. But New Zealand had a small blip. South Africa only kind of fell in once or twice. What do you think of their performances? What has been the standout memories for you?
so New Zealand in particular have always been consistent in ICC events. Like recently, when they beat India in the Test Championship
Hmm.
final, and also 2019 they fell agonizingly close, and it was decided by the number of boundaries after the super over also. And even 2015 they again lost in the final to Australia. 2011 they were semi-finalists. And yes, they've been consistent, but the there's they haven't really won, so they don't have any to
Hmm.
set a benchmark as or anything. So
Yeah.
that is the issue. The also I think the bowling lineup of Trent Bolt and Tim Southee and everything would have worked probably in as in foreign conditions, but not in India.
Hmm.
So
Where do you have some purchase from the conditions from the
yeah,
pitch and
for
also
me
in the
the bowling lineup has aged a bit, and I think that's an area
hmm.
they need to look at. But the emergence of Rachin Ravindra, Ish Sodhi, I thought could have been used in one of these matches where they had a string of 5 losses or something. Correct me if
Hmm.
I'm wrong. Uh,
Yeah.
but there were some matches in which Ish Sodhi's experience as a leg spinner could have worked, considering the fact that a lot of leg spinners were making merry in across
Hmm.
other teams. Kuldeep Yadav, Adam Zampa, Adil Rashid. So yes, that is one area that they could have looked upon, and he could have actually assisted Mitchell Santner also.
Yeah.
And yeah, all otherwise, but the thing is, they did give India a proper fight in that semi-final. They didn't really go down without a fight. After, conceding 397 runs at Wankhede Pack Stadium, chasing it under lights is really tough. But for them to, get past 300, there was one point in which it was kind of 56 balls, 112, and
Hmm.
12 runs and over from that. We have seen enough T20 to know that it's
Yeah.
possible to achieve that target.
Possible.
So for them to have reached that level and everything, and mind you, they had a really bad bowling
Hmm.
stint when India were batting. I
Yeah.
haven't seen a New Zealand lineup bowl that badly. It was
Hmm.
not just down to India's batting; it was also down to bad bowling that India got to register such a total that was close to 400. But even then, having said that, they can. There are a lot of positives that New Zealand can take, but for them to evolve from this and become like a team that is actually capable of winning, they need some minor rejigs with their 11 and everything, and then it'll be fine. But
Yeah, I think,
what is your
yeah.
take on South Africa, though?
Yeah. Just one point, that couple of observations I want to make on New Zealand also. Like you said,
Mhm.
right? The bowling has been a little out of form in the sense that they were not able to pick up crucial wickets against good oppositions. That's what I wanted to mention. And I felt like along with aging, they're also a bit one-dimensional. Like all these bowlers, if you notice Southee and Bolt, they are bowlers that heavily rely on swing. Bolt is not as fast as he used to be, not bowling in he used to bowl in 140s. Now he's come down to 130, 135s and stuff. So which means he's not picking up wickets with pace, but rather with initial swing. When you don't have swing, then becomes a difficult one. And they're also relying a lot on traditional swing, not on seam movement or reverse swing or anything. And so I think that has been one key concern for them. And they don't have. I mean, Santner is a holding spinner at best. Although he has picked up wickets, he doesn't threaten to take wickets. Mostly it's uh, batters trying to go for the shots and then giving wickets rather than like outsmarting them or getting the wickets with a turn. So that's what I felt, my personal opinion. And one performer that I want to highlight for New Zealand is Darryl Mitchell. He has been great for them in the middle order, always playing that solid knock, especially his key performance come against India. So there are some players who reserve all their best performance against India. He's one of them. And probably if he had stayed on and played those innings against India, you never know. The result could have gone either way. Yeah. So that's my take on New Zealand. Coming to South Africa, obviously they were the team to beat at least in the initial stages. Posting scores of 350 plus like multiple times. I was wondering what is this team made of? Like if you just look at their team on paper, the only possible loophole or person not in form would be Temba Bavuma. Everybody was striking, everybody was making scores. They had a combination of some three classy players in Deacock and Rassie Van Dusen, and then really had some great hitters in Miller uh, and Klaasen and Jansen and stuff. So I think they have got the combination right. But their old nemesis again comes in. Like they kind of not they forget their game in these crunch knockout games. They are vulnerable against spin. For some reason, they've never been able to conquer spin fully, despite having some quality spinners in their own team. Keshav Maharaj is a good spinner of the ball, and so is Shamsi. So they got variety within the team. So and it's very surprising them not being able to conquer spin whenever there is some spin operating, then them giving up. What do you think? What was the highlights for you for this team?
South Africa, for me, had faced one issue, which was
Hmm.
basically what their modus operandi was: win the toss, bat first and register like a huge total, like which was
Yeah.
kind of in the 300, 400 range. But the
Mm.
moment they started chasing, that's when it became obvious that there are quite a lot of issues when it comes to them, batting second. The one match they chased against Netherlands, they lost. There was another match they chased against Pakistan, which had it not been for a very dubious umpire call, would have gone Pakistan's
Mm.
way, and Pakistan would have won that match. And maybe, we
Yeah.
would have been looking at different permutations and combinations. They won that
Yeah.
match by 1 wicket. And
Yeah.
again, the match that India batted first against South Africa, and they lost again at Eden Gardens. The one match probably they should have probably thought about their modus operandi and switched from their usual way of operations was that semi-final when it was
Mm.
raining, when there was a lot of swing in the air and everything, and they decided to, I think, that decision of Temba Baumas to bat first at
Mm.
Eden Gardens against a bowling lineup that has Stark, Hazelwood, and Cummins, that backfired a lot, because by the end of 10, 15 overs, I think almost half the side was back in the pavilion. So from there was no going back. But David Miller, it took a lot of it. That was a knock of a lot of skill and character and patience and grit.
Mm.
But even then, having said that, 213, it's a score that South Africa doesn't really like. If you go back into that 99
Mm.
World Cup,
Yeah.
213 was a score, the tied score when Alan Donald and Lance Klusener got involved in that run out. So,
Mm.
but even they could have been able to uh, restrict Australia from scoring that total. The way they started again, that was not good. For some reason, Lungi Ngidi was not chosen.
Mm.
That selection was baffling to say the least, and they had got into a lot of match situations in that match where a comeback was actually possible. But
Mm.
even then, Bavuma introduced didn't was reluctant in introducing spinners back again for some reason, and then they kept on chipping away at the target. The way
Mm.
Warner and Head started also, that kind of
I can
took
also.
the that basically did half the job for Australia. But South Africa, the thing is, we have seen South Africa choke multiple times. So it's not,
Mm.
now as a cricket fan, it doesn't really surprise us. It's become that level. But even 2015, they had like a much better solid lineup, which had De Villiers, Duplessis, Dale Steyn, all these people. And even there, they faltered against New Zealand in 2015. So
Yeah.
South Africa, for some reason, I don't know. They have that issue at like the blockbuster events, but
Mm.
it's a thing they need to, they can just sit back and regroup. But there are a lot of positives going around in that team. They need to just rejig the issues that they probably face this tournament. But then there are quite a lot of positives that have come out of that Protea side. One person is Gerald Coetzee, like
Mm.
tall,
Yeah.
uh, and lanky, and he doesn't shy away from bowling bouncers, has express pace, can bat a
150
bit
something,
also.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 150 regularly hits 145, 150. So yeah, Rabada kinda, for some reason, when Rabada, when people used to talk about Kagiso Rabada, Rudresh, you are a test connoisseur, so you would have seen a lot of Kagiso Rabada bowling in South African pitches. But he was always built to be in the uh, class as Jasprit Bumrah or Josh Hazelwood or Shaheen Shah Afridi. But for some reason, he hasn't had a good tournament at all. And
Mm.
the bowling lineup kind of, that was an issue for them this time.
Yeah.
They need Andrik Nokia was a big miss. I think
Big
it
miss.
was
Yeah.
an injury miss. So I think that is something they will know in the they will definitely be keeping in mind. But South Africa overall has had a good tournament. Aiden Markram,
Eight
that's
marker.
my. I'll just sign off from the South Africa analysis by just saying Aiden Markram, and he's come a long way. He has a
Yeah.
big future ahead and potentially a future South Africa captain also.
He has been captain before, right? And then he had resigned from it or something like that. If I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think Bavuma, when he plays, he has to be captain.
Mm.
I think the reason Bavuma plays is also, because of a political
Because
scenario where there
full,
needs to be
yeah,
a reservation for,
two colored people, right? Two or three colored people.
Yeah, colored people, they need to be at least three or four in every South African sports 11. And
Yeah,
that is probably the reason.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of
Yeah, I
politics.
would like to add a tangent. I know, like, you guys are talking about very fine issues, but just out of curiosity, because I'm thinking about just the format of cricket, different formats. So I've noticed that, like, compared to World Cup before this World Cup, a lot of teams are touching 400, 300
Mm.
very easily. What do you think, like, is the future for, let's say, something like ODI? And because I'm realizing that it's not fitting very well, because I sometimes get, like, as a cricket fan, I get like very concerned as to how people are scoring so big so easily. And it used to be a time when, like, you would be having like a 260 target. I think in 2011 also it was a target of 260 or something, and that was a challenging target. But now we see easily 400, 397 also. So what do you guys think is happening there?
Arun, you wanna go first? Then I'll take
Yeah,
it up.
I think it is, why 400s is actually, that is definitely because of the advent of T20s and everything, that the, it's become, the world is definitely batting friendly. It's not a world for the bowlers anymore, sadly. But that ICC has ensured that that is not really the case in Test cricket anymore. If you actually have been observing Test cricket over the years, totals have come down a
Come
lot.
down.
Like
Yeah,
there used to be times, I remember there was a
600,
match
700.
in Sri Lanka
Yeah.
where we scored 513 or something, and then Sri Lanka came and batted, and they registered a total of 952. So that was it. I don't think there was any time for any third innings. Both innings were pending. So from dead pitches, having to like just flat tracks where people are just, spending a lot of time and effort. From there, it's taken a considerable amount of investment and effort on the time on ICC side to ensure that test matches are evened out. So test match still remains the purest form of cricket. It should remain that way. But ODIs, the World Cups have always garnered a lot of attention. Even then, if you say, say hypothetically speaking, if whichever team is batting first, and if they are also making like 270 to 280, it will be definitely a challenging score. Uh, because the 397 in a World Cup semi-final, that is actually, I think it is an off event. And it's also
Overkill, yeah.
because of there are other external factors also which are directly uh, you know resultant on these high totals, which is basically
Mm.
the balls, uh, the I think, the new balls being coming into the picture,
Mm.
and people's inability to produce reverse swing, and
Yeah,
boundaries
cut
are
short,
shorter.
shorter.
So all these things are actually the reasons, because if you see Bangalore and Mumbai, they're not the biggest grounds, but you won't really see a 400 in a stadium like Lucknow, which is
Mm.
pretty big for Indian standards.
And then you have fielding restrictions also for
Yeah,
playing
there
the
are
part.
fielding restrictions, there are power play, and all that. But I think after the World Cup, there are certain rule changes with respect to making it more bowler friendly and everything, that I think I'm sure the ICC will have to sit down and, analyze, jot down all these points, that the concerns of yours. There are many like that. So that is there. So, but 50 over cricket, probably the format can be slightly changed and everything. But I agree with Gautam in the sense when he started off by saying this is the best format for like a 10-team World Cup. I completely agree. It gives every team a fair chance to, go across every venue and play every opposition. So in that way, I think the future of ODI cricket, at least World Cups, is definitely there. But yes, the if every but I won't really bat an eyelid if occasionally there are like 400 scores and everything, because we've seen India itself has registered 413 against Bermuda in 2007 at a World Cup. Funnily enough, the World Cup that we got knocked out in the first round. But
Yeah.
uh, it would be a concern. It will be a definite concern if in like 8 out of 10 matches there are 400 plus totals. Then it's a definite concern. But so far, that I don't think that has been the case though. But overall, in international cricket, there are 400 is not really, people are talking about 500 and everything. And once that starts happening at a regular level, that is a definite red flag.
I'm of the old school opinion that there has to be a balance between ball and bat. There should be something for everybody in that pitch. In an ideal ODI pitch, spinners getting some grip and turn and fast initial overs, at least fast bowlers getting some movement, some bounce. So that what it gives you is contest like what just happened between Australia and South Africa. I think that has been good exhibition of attrition cricket. Good players like Miller scoring runs, still hitting boundaries, still hitting sixes, but still bowlers giving a fair chance at going in back. So even if you have scores around 250, 270, 280, if you are able to give them a thrilling game, from a viewership point of view, at least from a relevance point of view, right? Like if ODI cricket is just a replica of T20 cricket, just a few more overs to T20 cricket, then what is the incentive for the viewers to watch it also, right? I mean, if you are just replicating the same format, just batters coming in and hitting through the line, then how is it different from your T20 cricket apart from the fact it's slightly longer? So if you really want to position this format, it has to be where there is equal balance between bat and ball. It's sort of like a test match, but more faster, more proactive, uh, more shots available, but promoting really good promoting batters like David Miller, like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, all those classic batters that we associate with like from South Africa, you have Vassie Van Dusen, who are all in that the classical batting school. And I think and I think the beautiful part of ODI is the ebb and flow. So you will see, unlike in T20s where momentum takes you along to a big score when when 2-3 players are hitting, then everybody else coming in and start hitting, and then that score gets on the higher side. Whereas even if you get a great start in ODI, let's say you score like 100 runs in 10 overs or 15 overs, the team still have the ability to come back if they bowl decently, and that India New Zealand game has been a great example of that, right? New Zealand was along cruising towards a 400 score, a 350, 380 plus score. Suddenly, there's Mohammad Shami coming in and streaming in, and Kuldeep coming getting back his groove, pulling them back. Daryl Mitchell struggling to get some runs after he scores a century, and that's a great example of how a good ODI match should be like. Everybody getting equal chance to come back at any point of the game. And yeah, like this same point is being made initially a few days back by our legends Waqar Yunus and Awazim Akram. There's this famous chat show called Pavilion from Pakistan. They were making this point around, okay, can we at least take one new ball back by the 30th over so that the other new ball gives you the reverse swing. Where when the ball gets cuffed, then the whole dynamics of reverse swing comes into the picture when you have a slighter older ball. Also spinners also coming into action when you have an older ball. So things like that has been discussed. Yeah, but yeah, this is my take, Andy.
Uh, yeah. Sorry, Arvind, you're on mute.
Sorry. Waqar Yunus will definitely know a thing or two about reverse swing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how much do you guys think like something like distribution rights and the income that's made from different formats affects the format itself? So, for example, like just making a guess, I think the amount of revenue ICC gets from test matches must be much less than what they're getting from T20 matches because people must be watching more, right? Because these are shorter formats and the audience is also easily catered for these formats. So how much does the reverse sort of apply to, like, in terms of how much can the format, one is that the purest argument that cricket itself is much more easier or like much more pleasant to watch if it's like a 5-day test match where we have much more chances for every player also to perform in every role, like even like as a bowler, as a batsman. But some where like you look at T20 matches, it becomes very fast paced, but also it gives a good revenue to ICC.
Gautam, you want to go for it?
Yeah, I think there is some merit in that. Like, eyeballs or viewership certainly dictates the dynamics of how much you can sell a format, right? Very true there. I think one factor being, can somebody sustain their attention for 6 hours or more for an ODI game is a real question. Of course, Test match have their own fan following because it's uh, you know there is that you know what you're going to get. You're going to get attrition cricket. You're going to get slow cricket, which some people are okay with, and um, you are not really trying to make money out of Test match cricket. I mean, although you can, Indian matches will, I'm sure, are getting a lot of sponsorship money through Test matches, which is why they've gotten. And one important thing to notice is you have a Test championship also, because earlier we used to play a lot of bilateral series with no context. Who's the best team out there in this year? So this Test championship is a great step ahead from the logic of applying really that to the Test matches, and that's why you have Test championship. Like the same point being everyone getting an equal chance at being the best Test team in that world for that year. But in ODI, we only have this World Cup that happens in 4 years. That's the only incentive for people to play ODI. So question becomes, why does any team invest their resources in an ODI team for bilateral wins, especially for countries like Sri Lanka, West Indies, like Netherlands, people who do not have that economic power, do not have that viewership power, uh, and so they rather invest that in the T20 leagues because then they can easily sell it as a commercial product. That's what I feel is happening, and it all comes back to like how we can product market this, how we can like make some changes in this product ODI and then market it really well. Yeah.
Yeah, so following from what you said, that World Test Championship is definitely, it's an initiative to get eyeballs back to Test cricket, and it has worked fairly well in both the cycles. That I think it has got majorly to do with India making it to the finals of both the editions, and then unfortunately losing out to New Zealand and Australia. But having said that, you can't really go in with the mindset that for an ODI team we need to like train in this manner. That time is gone, because when if you just look at Sachin Tendulkar, the amount of the quantity and volume of matches, the ODI matches he has played, and like someone like Sanath Jayasuriya, they played more than 420, 430 matches. If you look at it, someone who has been at it and who is an exponent of ODI cricket, arguably people say that he's the best to have played the ODI game. Virat Kohli hasn't even played 300 matches. And that is because of a lot of T20I cricket, and there's a lot of squad rotation and all that happens. So ODI, like Gautam said, the only incentive for a team to prepare well is for, these, of course, the bilateral matches are there. There's no, not taking away any importance from there. But frankly, the icing on the cake is always the World Cup. And that should always be there, because it still has that. And the same thing that we are right now talking about, the 400 scores, while we are criticizing the 20 over cricket and everything, the same people similarly used to say very similar things about ODI cricket when it started, when the ODI World Cup started in 1975. They're diluting the purest version to like 60 overs in 60, and it used to be 60 overs at that time, and
Yeah.
that was also scoffed at a lot. But then it is something, Kerry Packer's colored cricket, that is brought investment to cricket. And white ball cricket is where the commercialization and everything, it's the aesthetics of it and everything. That's where the market is. It is driven by, and it doesn't necessarily mean that people ultimately just want to see entertainment. That entertainment could be of a century or a 5 wicket haul. It doesn't need to necessarily decide the nature of the pitch or anything. We don't want to see like dud pitches where like some team is scoring uh, 200 and the other team is just chasing it in 40 overs. No one wants to see that cricket. But this World Cup, actually, if you look at it, it's a pointer that serves to say, look, we have had these many matches, these many teams have performed. We have had a lot of great knocks and a lot of great memories. People have had genuine fun watching it. Even if you talk in the Indian perspective, the whole country rallied behind the cause of one team, and that will probably reflect tomorrow. At this point in time, we don't know where we will be. Hopefully, we'll be in a good position. But having said that, yeah, the marketing and everything, the marketability of the game lies in white ball cricket and everything. But T20Is won't really paper over ODIs if certain reformations will be made by the committee and everything. And I'm sure there are, you know, much experienced individuals out there who will be, adapting and amending these rules and everything. So now that we have
Yeah.
addressed, India, or what is going to happen tomorrow, let's just get to that, our final segment, the preview of the final. Rudresh, of course, what do you think? What is, of course, we're all hoping for an Indian win, but what does your gut say?
Uh, I think it's going to be a good cricket match, is what I'm hoping for. Uh, that's a very politically correct answer, also, I feel.
Yeah,
Um, so I think I feel that Australia has come back into this tournament and they are definitely in a good form.
Hmm.
So it's going to be a good match, but India definitely has an upper hand, at least in the way it has performed so far. If anything else happens, like apart from India winning, I would be very surprised. Uh, but I wouldn't be like, I obviously want India to win. I'm obviously favoring for India, but I know that whichever team wins, it's going to be the better team winning. No one has come to the World Cup like just by fluke, like to the finals. Both have like if India has performed very well on all the matches, Australia had its own journey where like as Maxwell's knock is there and everything. So I think it's also a very interesting uh, thing to see tomorrow. I don't know. I would like to understand from you guys like what can be the scenarios of actually like who bats first and then what can happen based on the. I think it's going to be happening in Narendra Modi Stadium, right? So
Yeah.
how that stadium will affect, the what kind of stadium it is, like the pitch and everything. What do you guys think? How will that make a difference?
From what I remember of the stadium and the pitch, I start with the last point of yours. Is correct me, you guys, if my analysis is wrong. Is a slow pitch. It's a pitch. I think at least in test matches we've seen a lot of turn. Axel Patel getting a lot of purchase. Yeah, and historically we've. I don't know if there's the same pitch or if it's a different one. We've beaten Australia before in this pitch in 2011 during the quarterfinals. It was played in Ahmedabad, if I'm not wrong. So we have some history there, and I mean, I'm sure the pitch must be
Gautam,
may not
that was the old
isn't it?
stadium, the Motera
Old
Stadium.
stadium. Okay, old stadium. Then yeah, then doesn't apply then. So yeah, my thoughts around this is couple of scenarios where India can lose this game. Of course, we've discussed good well enough, and people have been discussing how good we have been and what are the bases we've got covered. In my mind, there are a few scenarios India can lose. One scenario is this critical pair of what David Warner and Travis said, making a big partnership and that too in no time. So if our new ball bowlers, especially Siraj and Bumrah, having an off day, or even Mohammad Shami also, if our fast bowlers collectively having an off day and then these guys building, let's say like 200 for one, or 230 for one in 20, 25, 30 overs, then in a final to be chasing a score of 350 plus could be a big total, big challenge because you have it's never easy to chase that big a score. Of course, we've chased in the past. We 2011 you chased,
You're
but
bringing back
that
the
was
trauma again, 2003.
yeah. So if that happens, right? If that happens, then we could be the one who's losing. But otherwise, in all of the scenarios like where we batting first or then scoring was under 300 kind of score, I don't see us failing, barring like an exceptionally once in a lifetime performance from their bowlers. Like I'm guessing that could either come from their fast bowlers primarily. Of late, Stark has never been successful against India at least. It's mostly been Hazelwood and Pat Cummins. So if either one of them have like a once in a lifetime game where they pick up like 3, 4 wickets in like very short amount of time and small amount of runs, then we have a good chance to lose. But otherwise, if not for these exceptional performances where these individuals stand up and let's say they play the innings of their lifetimes, India is bound to win this. Of course, this is under the assumption that Rohit plays the natural aggressive game, Virat Kohli becomes a chase master or the controller. Rahul being the dynamic person he is, trying to control when he can and exploding it towards the end. Shreyas finding overcoming his short ball weakness. Maybe Sky also, who knows? This is the right opportunity for Sky to also come in and make some shots. He's been silent all throughout. To be honest, that batting has been really well. He didn't have the chance to come and express himself. But this could be the match. Who knows? He comes and scores like a whirlwind, 30, 40 out of 10, 12 balls. That could be in the game changer. And of course, Jaddu. I think Jaddu has been the key bowler against Australians. Even the wicket that he took against Smith, ball pitching in the middle and leg and picking up the off stump. I think, yeah, Smith Smith could be like really critical wicket. I know he has not been performing up to his potential in this tournament, but if you remember in 2015, that was his partnership with Smith. I don't know which other person that really broke our back and took the game away from us. So yeah, these are my thoughts. Aravind, you want to pitch in?
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, first of all, I think the two most deserving teams are there in the final, like Rudresh said. And of course, no one can say that India didn't deserve to go through because it's a team that's been unbeaten and will probably it will be 11 straight wins if we do win the final. But having said that, there are certain things that we need to be wary of. The fact that we are facing Australia, that is a major issue. No one wants to, let's be honest, no one wants to face Australia in any final. And uh, the 2011 World Cup win came in the quarterfinal with Yuvraj and Suresh Raina being the architects of like a famous victory. And even if you look at this World Cup, our win came in Chennai, but the current Indian team is actually different from that lineup where we had there was no Mohammad Shami then. The Hardik Pandya played that match, and there was no Shubman Gill. Ashwin played that match, and the circumstances have changed. Australia also rejigged a lot. They didn't have Travis Head till at that time. They I think had Cameron Green, and their combinations also changed. But one thing that we should be wary of is the fact that you know sorry, I was just plugging on my charger. So one thing that we need to be wary out is the fact that Australia did manage to price out three wickets, like including Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, and then Shreyas Iyer in very, very quick time. And it took a lot of application from Virat Kohli and KL Rahul to, stitch a good partnership and then get us safely home. So against India, the thing is, we have seen one thing that we have all noticed in the previous matches is that India has been very certain fielders, Indian fielders have been very sloppy when it comes to taking catches and everything. Like the sort of catch that Mohammad Shami dropped off Kane Williamson in that semi-final. Of course, he took his wicket and compensated for it, but that sort of complacency can't creep in tomorrow against Australia, especially when they are world-class fielders, all of them.
Yeah,
So that is where we need to like lift our game, and
yeah,
there will be periods in which Australia would probably be better than us. They will have the upper hand and everything, but we have the experience. We have played enough cricket, and again, just before this World Cup started, we had a bilateral ODI series, home bilateral series against Australia, which we had won. I think Shreyas Iyer again had hit a century in one of those matches. It was his comeback and from injury.
yeah,
So if you look at it, yeah, I think I am, of course, Rohit Sharma, the sort of starts that he has been giving, and Virat Kohli, of course, he has riding on a lot of confidence. So if you look at it, Shubman Gill for one, he has probably the best average for a batsman at Ahmedabad because he always, by virtue of having played for
Virat.
Gujarat Titans, also, his home IPL team. He
Yeah,
has had, I think he has hit a double century in Ahmedabad in a test.
Yeah.
He also has, I think, other centuries also. So Shubman Gill, actually, for some reason, he was the ICC number one ranked batter just after the Asia Cup and into the World Cup also. I think he is still the number one batsman, if correct me if I'm wrong. But he hasn't had a century this tournament.
Hmm.
Maybe, as in, it might have happened had he not retired hurt against New Zealand in the semi-final. But then he had a bout of dengue fever and all that, and that must have,
Hmm.
had a bearing on that. But I'm definitely hoping for a Shubman, like a big knock from Shubman Gill tomorrow. But hopefully, as in, if everything happens like in an ideal scenario, Rohit Sharma would want to, win the toss, bat first, and then set like a very good total of 280 to 300. But Ahmedabad is not like Mumbai. You can't really, you probably won't be able to make it a 350 plus score, because the pitch is slow. It has, sometimes it is bouncy also. It's a
Hmm.
pitch that you can't really trust. It's a kind of two
Hmm.
paced and everything.
Two paced.
And the only issue that will probably be bothering the Indian think tank, Rahul Dravid, Rohit Sharma, and all these people, is the fact that Ahmedabad, especially now that it's the advent of winter in North India, it will have a lot of dew.
New.
So
Hmm.
whether the Indian spinners want to, whether he trusts the Indian spinners and whether he trusts the conditions enough that they wouldn't really make a bearing on the Australian chase, that is something that he needs to address, because we all know the last time we opted to bowl first against Australia in the final, we know what happened. So it's a very difficult conundrum for them to solve, but hopefully they have the answers for that.
Yep. And it's also the biggest grounds, if I'm not wrong, one of the biggest grounds in India. So
In
long
terms of
boundaries,
in terms of capacity, it's the biggest in the
capacity.
world.
In terms of
Uh,
size also, quite
Boundary sizes, I don't think it is the biggest in India, but it is
okay.
fairly bigger than it is bigger than Wankhede in Mumbai or
Hmm.
Chinnaswamy in Bangalore. But in terms of, yeah, that is also one thing I'm looking forward to. I actually have watched the IPL final, as in, not live at the stadium. I have seen the IPL final and I've seen the match against India and Pakistan also. The seats were not full for some reason. So I want to
Hmm.
see if this 120,000 number, if it actually gets filled tomorrow. It should, but let's see.
Yeah. I mean, the whole ticketing controversy is another can of worms. We don't want to get into
Yeah.
how
That will need
tickets,
another episode.
Yeah.
another episode altogether.
Although I did see that the flight prices have increased, like from
Yeah.
Bombay to uh,
Ahmedabad,
Ahmedabad.
yeah.
Apparently
Very,
there are
very.
10 tents, like makeshift tents being built up in the outskirts of Ahmedabad for some 50,000, 40,000 kind of prices. So that
Yeah.
is how it is. People going for hospital checkups just to get some accommodation in a hospital so they can go and get met in the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
That's a
okay.
big okay. Yeah. It's a big occasion.
So any parting words, like,
Uh,
just team prediction from all of you.
my prediction is India winning this. India batting first. Um, let's say posting somewhere around 320, 330. Australia losing some early wickets. Kuldeep and Jadeja coming to the act, picking some wickets, and them getting bundled out for some 200, 220 kind of a score. That's my prediction.
Adi, what's your prediction?
I want to like play devil's advocate and say that like India will win. Like it's going to be very easy win for India. I know that there are thoughts in my head also with saying it's not going to be like that, but I do want to let that be my decision. That
Who's your X Factor player?
probably Virat Kohli. I think
Kohli.
it's going to be interesting to see him perform because he's been performing decent. So I'm going to put all my bets on that.
Number
Hmm.
51, number 51 going to come, because he'll be the only person in this Indian lineup, the entire 11, who would have played a World Cup final before.
Hmm. Ashwin? Oh, Ashwin didn't
Ashwin
play.
won't be there in the 11, I'm
11.
guessing.
there were some rumors going around Twitter and stuff where he was practicing with the ball, and then people are
But
commenting, "Oh,
Ashwin anyway didn't play the 2011 final.
finally, I didn't."
Right. But we should definitely, once the match is done, and hopefully, as we're all saying, India wins. I mean, Arvind, you also please share your take. I hope we can also come back and have a discussion on what went wrong and what went right.
Yeah, what went wrong, hopefully for Australia, and what went right, hopefully for India. Let's see.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, I do you think 51 number 51 is coming for Virat Kohli?
Given the form he's in, yeah, I think so. For certainly, it's going to be like perfect, picture perfect for that. Like, ideal scenario would be like Kohli scoring the 100, Rohit giving that aggressive start, Shami ending up the highest wicket taker, picking a few more wickets, Bumrah getting that economical but yet devastating first over spell, Kuldeep getting the turn. So that is the ideal template. Hopefully that happens tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I just hope Kohli doesn't give his wicket off to Adam Zampa like he always has done previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone else
Zappa,
will have to take the responsibility then for the match, for the large part, I guess. Yeah.
Zampa has never been like a threatening bowler like Kuldeep. He doesn't have like a bag of tricks or something, but he's somebody who goes under the radar, keeps picking up these key wickets, sometimes Indian wickets also. So yeah, somebody who's
He is
never.
he has historically had success against a lot of Indian batsmen because he bowls a lot of googlies and he pitches it right up front. So the moment you miss, it's
Yeah.
always LBW, you're dead in front, or you're losing your stumps. The only batsman, as far as I can remember, who has taken out Zampa properly is Hardik Pandya, and unfortunately, he won't be playing.
Yeah. And also because the other bowlers are so good, Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark, people generally tend to target their spinner. So yeah. And speaking of spinners, I think I'll just close with one more point. I think we should be very careful in not allowing Maxwell to settle in because I remember seeing, and I think in a previous match or some other matches, Maxwell being given a lot of respect than necessary, play, completing his score time 30, 40 overs. Now that can be really bad for us because if you want to get a really good score, we have to play attacking cricket at least to their, all-rounder bowler. So yeah, that's my take.
So, I've been an RCB fan, right? So, Kohli fan translates to an RCB fan also. But one dismissal that has always happened with Glenn Maxwell is the ball that turns into him from the left armour. This is the same ball that got him out in the semi-final also against Tabraiz Shamsi. So
The
Kuldeep
one who
Yadav,
goes with the hand.
yeah, as in the normal average
Okay,
leg spinner.
leg spinner. Okay,
So
all right.
for a left armer, like a left arm Chinaman bowler. So
He gets
Kuldeep
clapped for the
Yadav,
room and gets bowled and or LBW.
yeah, he
Yeah.
won't be able to assess the height or anything. So one thing, it's not like Wankhede where where India registered 400, and that's the exact same ground where Maxwell had hit his 200 also.
Mm.
Ahmedabad is not like Mumbai. You can't trust that pitch.
Mm.
It doesn't have true bounce and all that. Uh, you can't play the way you play in Bombay. So definitely Kuldeep and the Indian bowling lineup, the think tank would have, the coach would have, analyzed that, and they would have definitely seen that Achilles heel for sure. It's
Mm.
so Kuldeep Yadav as in should be able to take Maxwell out.
I would just summarize by saying that Ahmedabad pitch is like UPSC exam. You never know what questions are going to come. Uh, you just have to wait and see.
You're giving a script to TVF now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Personal anecdote time.
personal anecdotes time. Yeah. So
So yeah,
I've
let's.
really yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you guys. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing the thoughts. Hopefully, we have more episodes on these lines. Looking forward to having longer chats with you guys.
Okay, thanks. So that's it, I guess. The first episode of Locker Room Banter done and dusted. Thanks,
Yeah,
Gautam. Thanks, Rudresh.
Thank you.
And
thank
yeah,
you.
wish you all a good Cricket World Cup final watching.
Yeah, bye bye.
Bye.
Done?